I wonder if going across medieval Europe has any consequences. Ah, I see. Medieval Dynasty is a game about a dynasty in the medieval ages. And by medieval ages, I mean the poisonous mushrooms are your main source of food, and your dynasty is about as valuable as some cheese. In this game, we play as I Don't Care, as he attempts to start a new life in the valley. Call it the valley. Why the valley? I don't know, poisonous berries, I guess. Not like the people are nice.
Hail to the king!
Or the land itself. Family died in a war and he came to the valley because his uncle was a peaceful, non-noteworthy trader here. Somewhere. And the scrolls have foretold of a hero for the poor. I Don't Care's uncle, who for simplicity reasons I will hereby refer to as Chad, was a simple man. He came seeking a better life, nearly starved to death, worked in the king's orchard and found out the king was a greedy inbred son of fertilizer came from a donkey's backside, and back to starving he went. And thus with no money, no food, no titles or anything, he did the only logical thing he could. He found a tailor, convinced him he was a noble who would pay later, got some swag, walked into the king's castle, boned his wife, and then told the guards about it. The king got mad, and while he was yelling, Chad carried the entire treasury away with one finger, and then repaid the tailor for the clothes and gave the rest to the poor. Impressive enough for a random kid to join this hero. And so they kept on with their mission to claim booty and booty, until one day, they discovered an inhumane prison where innocent people were thrown into dying. How horrible, said Chad. We're going through the front door. And thus Chad broke all of the locks with his pinky finger alone as he triumphantly marched towards the exit. But the greedy nobles had cut corners on the building and the floor was a stone full of Chad's titanium balls, and he fell straight into the executioner's chambers. Several hours later, a nearly unconscious Chad turns to the executioner and says, "You know you're pretty strong. How's about you join us and I pay your portion of our money we recollect?" Also, gang is no name, so you call it whatever. And thus, the now free man gang were back on the boat to be distributed to nobility booty. The game was so cool that some loser decided that stalking them around was better than working to feed his family, and another time the game was stealing some horses and the garlic tried to shoot them, but the boat disintegrated from Chad's reflection. Unfortunately, all things must come to an end, and although Chad was still as fit as ever, the others had gone old from years of adventures and slowly aged and decided to settle down with knocked down the house of cards, as Chad and one more member remained. Thus, with no other options, Chad did the only sensible thing a vigilante like him could. He went up to the king and became his tax collector. A position he kept until death had to forcibly drag him away or whatever mysterious supernatural force finally brought him down. Medieval Dynasty is a first-person don't-starve rimworld shooter. You pick up sticks and stones to make axes and picks to get sticks and stones, to turn them into stones on a stick to sell for money to pay taxes for the sticks and stones you place. Pretty simple, really. What's the first order of business for any medieval peasant? Getting laid, obviously. First step, gather up some sticks and rocks to make an axe to chop a tree to build a house. Proceed to spend 4 years talking to a woman who will otherwise never leave the scene until she is deceased. Second order of business, this boy is hungry. Ignore the thirst, the river is safe. But no, seriously, I don't care needs to eat and not get eaten in the process. We could farm. Or we could die. Or we find a $10 wagon, pick up 3 pieces of wheat, construct an entire barn and ground it down to flour, then pay a year's worth of taxes to ourselves, question mark, to unlock the ability to make bread. Or we could place down some traps and die. Or we could fish. Third order of business, find some clothes. I remember how I did this without buying them. Fourth order of business, progress? And I guess go mines to get better tools, cause chopping trees is a pain in the butt. But make sure you don't pick the mine with the bear in front of him. Okay, that was a bit too short, so let's cut it down to pieces. The forest got all the poisonous nutrients you could ever need, wood aplenty in game, as in you. Get the basics to build your first house. Discover some animal spots on the way and maybe skin a rabbit or two, because that's all you can catch at this point. Then go swim in the river because you stinky. Drink some water and grab some reeds. If you need any more sticks, then pull down the stick. Wow, I know. And even better yet, see this big stick? Chop it down and hit it. Wow, sticks. Here comes with some logs. Not like you'll be needing those. Back to town to grab the only interesting storyline and sell our loot. Nah, I'm joking. Early on, sell stone knives. Why? Well, because once you find the first mission to go to the first town, be prepared to spend most of the game's storyline running across the land. I'm not joking, I'm dead serious. Only plus side is that looking down and clicking F on the sticks and rocks to collect more sticks and rocks to make more stone knives to sell is valid. Well, for buying clothes or maybe linen thread because I unironically spent all my money up to that point taking a wagon to town and back. And when I got to the wagon to the town, I was told to go to another town. I wasn't joking about the game's storyline being mostly running. By the way, did I mention there's a carry limit? Hey, let's look on the bright side. On the way, you can pick up some small randomly generated
Nice
side
to
quests.
see a new
It's generally
face.
simple stuff like, hey, my house suffered a storm, or I'm too old to make a hammer, or I need an axe, and it's a simple gather these materials/items. Of course, you might also be told I need an axe and be asked to deliver a copper axe instead of a stone axe, requiring to run from the random town back to your base, and perhaps to mine, just to go back all the way to be given no money and a bit of XP. By the way, when I say XP, I mean technology XP, not skills XP. See, there's skill trees for hunting, foraging, and such as chopping enough trees to where I've maxed out my food poison resistance, and there's schematics, where after having killed enough animals with traps, I've learned how to build a fishing head, which will mostly be used by not me. Or I make enough stone knives to where I learn how to smelt copper and tin into bronze, or only after I pay money to something or someone to unlock the recipe. After which I would just plug down some rocks, sticks, reeds, the next thing you know, entire forge is materialized. Anyways, repeat this Olympic sprint enough without being eaten by wolves, to where you can place down a campfire at the end of the season, fall asleep next to a road without any safety and safely wake up back home, nothing being mugged off of you. Welcome to summer. The poisonous berries are now actually edible, and there's even more shrooms. Don't overheat. Now go back to the other side of the map. You gotta hear more of your uncle's story as you go buy groceries for the ex-executioner. On the way, you may find a quest that asks for you to hunt some animals, so I should mention that while you still have a chance to get some food. So TLDR, hunting sucks. If it's a rabbit, badger, or fox, then you're good. You should wait for full stamina and sprint after the bastard. If it's something bigger and faster, then yeah, good luck. Don't ask me how to get a bow and arrows apart from finding an abandoned camp where you can make one. I just did a good old 1-2, throw a spear and then smack my table. But if you do try to go after something bigger than your foot, then I should warn you that wolves and boars and bears and viscents will fight back. Moose might be a pain and going after deer is a no, and each have different drops. By the way, this game is no passive healing, so and don't go after packs because you will lose your animal, and the blood is only to help find them. They don't actually bleed. Though they do get slower. Only plus is that every animal has a range limit around their spawn, which means that any animal you hunt will eventually run to an invisible wall and be forced to go in a permanent circle where you can try to cut them off midway. Or just live off berries alone and hope it doesn't spoil by the time winter comes. Speaking of winter, check out the snow. It's actually pretty. Plus points in it is, they made nature beautiful. And terrifying. Smelting isn't complicated. Look at where the mines are because the devs have a great sense of humor. Don't pick the one with the bears in front, make sure it's not night. Hammer away. Well, pickaxe away, or pick away, gather away, collect. I don't know any synonyms for mining. Return to the shed that materialized into a forge. Smelt, make copper. Repeat for higher levels. I don't know what else to say. Just like farming. Till a tile, fertilizer, and then a seed. Just make sure it's the right season. Wait, collect. Then spend a diploma's worth of money to be able to process it and deforce the country to build a building for it. And perhaps by the end of the first year in game, you'll have successfully completed the only noteworthy questline in the entire game. Congratulations. You have completed the storyline. Medieval Dynasty, when I wake up, young. Okay, look, I almost quit this game. I'm not the biggest fan of building games. I don't like Minecraft, sue me. I like Terraria because I can just build sheds for everyone. I like Valheim because it only needs a house, not a good house, and so forth. In Medieval Dynasty, if you want to smell something, then you need to build a smithy. Yes, it's only stone, twigs, logs, and reeds, same for any of the other buildings. But oh my god, I hated chopping trees in this game. I don't mind resource collection or inventory limitations. Mostly. But what I do hate is when building the minimum amount of buildings requires me to chop down every tree around my base. And yes, I didn't want to be far from the quest, so I built right outside the first settlement. So I can't build anything on the cliffside and all the trees around the settlement are inaccessible to me. And yes, I did know about the remove 100 stumps achievement and the shovel required sign for stumps before I learned that those stumps were the only way that trees regrow. But still, the amount of logs I needed was insane. And why do wooden spears cost an entire log? Just get 2 sticks and sharpen the tip. Don't take something twice as big as me and I'm using a stone axe. I need to make like 13 wooden pickaxes if I want to get enough copper and tin to make enough copper axes and pickaxes and spears. Reminder, this game is a carry limit and no fast travel that doesn't bankrupt you, as if it exists outside the towns. When I first played this game, I remember getting a couple sticks and stones extra for future axes, and by the time I had to build my house and one more building for extra storage, I'd already been so frustrated by carrying the logs back and forth that seeing that I had to go across the map legit made me quit until so much time had passed that I uninstalled the game and moved on. And the story would end here. If it were not for Chad's spear reappearing in the dev's office, it would have been to add a cheat menu.
Oh, hello.
Infinite carry weight? Check. Infinite stamina for sprinting across the map with sprint set to toggle instead of hold? Check. Infinite health so that we can finally get that leather? Check. No hunger and thirst? Finally. This meat doesn't sell for much, but goddamn it's the best thing I got right about now, and I'll be damned if I gotta run after deer again. Too lazy to go and hunt up rabbits to where you realize that you can put down more than one trap? Boy, we got a slider for skill XP and technology XP. Now granted, there's no money spawning, or teleportation, or no weapon durability loss, or no food spoilage, or no ammo consumptions, or no disable the tutorial quest to hunt down a bear or the random NPC quest, and added some resources to fix my house, and he asked for enough wood to build himself a new house. You are so lucky you have nothing for me to steal. But it's still a sandbox game where you can walk around with 500 stones and sticks in your pockets and not be made fun of. Thank you, Chad. You're the only reason why I'm still here, chopping these goddamn trees. Yeah, resource collection is easier, but still a hassle. If only a game called Medieval Dynasty had some method of automation in which a person with the ability to create everything a settlement could possibly need could create his own little settlement. What do you mean I have to talk to women to progress the tutorial quest? Yes, that is right, ladies and gentlemen and child. You two have a lot of explaining to do. I didn't build this fishing hut just so I could chop up fish. No, I built a fishing hut so that I could make fishing spears, put them in a chest, toggle sprint with infant stamina into a town, go to the campfire with people in the city since before the Big Bang, and ask them if they would like to work for me without a wage. And then put them in the fishing hut so they could use those spears to catch fish and turn them into meat, which will be put into the food storage from which everyone can grab their food, water, and firewood to bring them into their own homes. Just make sure to look up how to actually enable resource gathering because the game doesn't teach you that. And I repeat this for the extraction, hunting, farming, animal husbandry, production, and service buildings. Sure, we can finally move on from selling stone knives and our legitimately acquired meat to our own agricultural produce. Plus we get linen threads on our own now. Or we could just buy the flax instead because to get a decent amount of wood alone we would need like 5 people to chop wood. Each of those 5 have a wood, food, and water requirement that must be met. Can these be self-sustaining? Yes. How difficult is it to build a large settlement that can gather most of everything and not require much attending from you? I don't know. I saw how much wood one woodsman generates and said, nah, Medieval Dynasty, I'm good. I've seen what I need to see. Keep the animated money generation. Thanks for the cheats. I'll see you in 14 years when you had dragons. Now look, I'm not saying that I'm impatient. Medieval Dynasty, when I wake up, you know I'm gonna be the man with a bear goes up 20 minutes up his ass. Out of a simple house. It's not for me, but hey, now I know. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't captivated by the idea of a game, which is a down-to-earth nation building game. And I'd be double lying if I said that wasn't the same reason why I had Medieval Dynasty on my wishlist for a while. So congrats to the devs for attempting and succeeding in creating a medieval city builder/management game that's still a survival game. And extra points for creating quests and adding story to a game which is basically a strange mix of Stardew Valley and Factorio. As if either had rollaway bandits with a questionable amount of cheese on them. If the game had more of a goal beyond building the largest settlement with a happy populace, then perhaps I'd ask Nick if he wants to check it out and leave the building to him. But with there being the option to assign villagers to mines where they will clear out all bears and other predators, there's literally nothing left for me. The only thing left is building decorations, but if it was up to me, I'd be taking I Don't Care to the gym to train those calf muscles to compare them with John Morrison from RDR2 and the mammoth that walked a high frog instead of taking a horse. Why am I making a review of a game and genre I'll probably never return to?